Hey guys, first of all I want to say thank you so much for the support of the Dayna Pack so far. If you've bought the pattern, thank you. If you haven't and you're hesitant because you think it's going to be hard, I'm going to make a video right now to show you just how easy and quick this thing comes together. So far I have all my pieces cut out. Got the two side pieces, the front, the zipper, the top, the back. I've already got my D-rings ready to go with my leather. I've made a strap, and then you've got your lining pieces. So let's get started. So first we're going to go ahead and put our zipper in the front main panel here. I'm using a zipper tape, so I remove the pull so it's easier to just sew, but you're going to put the tape side down. The zipper pull would be to the left, and then we're going to do that zipper sandwich here where we put the lining right on top. I like to base my zipper in first before I put the lining on, just to make sure everything's good. So I've already taken it to my ironing board and pressed this and the lining nice and smooth this way. I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch right here, and then I'm gonna repeat the process with the whole zipper sandwich for the top part. So insert that, and again, I'm gonna press it and then top stitch this part as well. So we've got our front panel completed here. Just gonna draw your attention to the back here. You see there's a gap from the top to the bottom. That's important. We need that for later. And then now we're going to go ahead and sew our darts in both pieces before we add our side flaps. All right, so now that we've done this, I'm going to go ahead and trim off these little tabbies a little bit, just so that they fit nice and snug inside each other. I'll show you what I mean. What I didn't mention is that when we're sewing the darts, we're pinching right sides together on the lining and also right sides together on the exterior. And then we're gonna go ahead and tuck those in nicely into each other, and that will give you a nice clean finished inside, and we're not gonna have any raw edges. So the next portion is we're gonna take the back piece here and we're gonna line it up with the top part of the green here. And then we're going to go ahead and start clipping all around and basting all of this together. Okay, so now we essentially have our completed pocket. So if you go in here, no raw edges. This is our usable pocket. Okay, so next we gotta do, we're gonna go ahead and trim off any excess zipper on the side, trim up if our lining's poking out a little bit. When I say this is a very forgiving sew, I mean it. I mean, you can end up not being perfect and it'll still look like a super cute fanny pack. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna take my side pieces here, and you've got a right and a left if you've cut it out correctly. And we're gonna go ahead and start pinning here. What I do is I leave a 1/4 inch along the top here and then start clipping through all of the layers. And we're gonna do the same thing on both sides. When you get down here, your end should match up pretty much as is, but if you cut it wrong or your sewing's off a little bit, what we don't want is you ending up like rounding the corner at all. So if that's the case, just kind of leave the little tail off the end. So we're gonna go ahead and sew both sides. We're gonna flip it over, press it, and we're gonna do a top stitch here. And so I'm gonna do that right now. We are in the home stretch, guys. So as you can see, there's a gap up here, but I leave it that way so that we can take the opportunity right now to just smooth everything out, and it's nice and even across. So I'll kind of use my label as a guide in this instance. So I'm gonna line up the edge and nice and smooth across, and I'm gonna cut it with a rotary cutter. Just nice and even across. So if we look back, we still have our nice gap up here. Again, super important. Next step is we're gonna go ahead and add our D-rings here. I do like to put them as close to the edge as possible because I don't like what I call Shrek ears, where the D-ring is hanging all the way out here. I don't like it. That's me personally. So that's why I have you mark it the way that I do, so that you can get it as close to this as possible. It's very handy if you can switch out to a zipper foot or a narrow foot so that you can get really close to that. And then the next step will be is we're gonna go ahead and open our zipper. Make sure the zipper is open, and then we're gonna go ahead and clip this all in place. Okay, so I'm starting to pin the back on here, and sometimes it depends on your sewing. Again, incredibly forgiving. So you'll see that I'm a little off here, but I'm gonna measure my main panel against the back and clip it down. So sometimes this part is what gets tricky because it's like way back here and this is up here. You're gonna go ahead and just tuck the pleat under and continue to clip your bag in place. So still tucking. Okay, and then next step, now that everything is all clipped in place, I'm gonna take it to my machine and I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna go across. I'm gonna ride this edge with the edge of my foot, not catching this. This is our turning hole. So we're gonna go down, across, around, making sure to go above your basting stitch here so that there's no holes, up, back, and finish here. So I'm gonna do that real quick. And then all right, so back is attached to the front. I'm gonna go ahead and trim down my seam allowances. Gonna close that corner a little bit. And then around the rounded kind of parts, I do like to notch them out a little bit so it lays a little bit flatter. Remove a lot of this bulk here. Make sure not to cut your true stitching line. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and trim across the top a little bit here. Get my seam allowance down. Okay, so here's the part, the turning part, the magic part. Okay, so now we got this hole and then we got this hole. I want to be able to see through my pack. I want to see the back of the bag, and that is where I'm going to start turning. Helps if you take your little D-ring to pull out the sides a little bit. Okay, here we go. Get inside the pack on the back. Push out those corners. There we go. Push it out, push it out. You want a sharp tool to eventually poke out those sides better, but you've got a workable fanny pack at this point. Look at this. So, no opening along the top. It is all sewn shut. The only opening is way up here. So we're gonna go ahead and tuck that nice and smooth down and do this. And then for my fabric fannies, I do like the look of sewing from here, going across here, here, closing our gap here, and then down this way. For leather, it can get thicker in the sides unless you've skived it, or maybe you don't like that look. So we're just gonna focus on sewing from here to close our hole. So I'm gonna take this time right now off camera to poke out my holes a little bit and we'll close up our gap. All right, so we just sewed across the top. There is our opening that's completely shut. And then there's no raw edges inside. We basted our little tabbies on and then we sewed around. That's fine. There's not going to be a terrible amount of weight in this that you're going to worry about your D-rings coming loose. Plus, we left a good inch inside here, so if you used webbing, it's not going to unravel. I'm extra. I like the blings. That's why I add some decorative rivets here. So that's what I'm going to do next. Add those to this and then finish our strap and we will be done. All right, last step is assembling our strap here. There's a couple different ways to put on the hardware and thread it through your strap adjuster. This is the way I do it. I apologize if it's confusing, so I'm gonna walk you through it slowly. You take your strap adjuster, you're gonna go ahead and thread it through both sides so it looks like that. Then you're gonna take a swivel clasp here and you're gonna go ahead and loop it back on itself through the back of the strap. And I'm using a thick leather strap, so it can be a little difficult to thread through, but that's all I want right there. And this We're gonna have that secured with rivets. And then you take the opposite end, which is the easy end, take your other swivel clasp, and we're gonna go ahead and attach it this way. So we'll do this first side. I'm gonna go ahead, you can sew a line of stitching. I like rivets, it's easier for me. Punch a hole, add your double cap rivet, because you see both sides, so I like to use double cap. Not necessary, but if you can see the other side of your project, it's nice for the double caps. Punch in my holes. And then you should feel them click together, but they're not set. We're gonna set that in just a moment, but I'm just getting them all set. So then the part that's looped on itself, this is smooth and it's looping in and that stuff, that's the part you're gonna go ahead and rivet or sew. So again, you put the cap on, you should feel it kind of click together, but you still need to set them with a setting tool, or in this case, a hand press. Make sure they set well. Okay. We're going to take our bag strap, shorten it a little bit, and add it to our pack. And voila! Isn't she pretty?